I have started a new YouTube channel, and on this channel, I'm just sharing my healing journey. Um, it's called Healed and Whole, which I'm really excited about. I really just want this to be a space where, I share my journey. I share what it looks like to heal from the inside out, you know, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all the things that I've been processing and dealing with, and kind of just like documenting that. I really want to be a space where not just women, but like men too can learn how to take care of their body holistically and not just focus on one area. And then you realize that, not having balance can actually cause issues. So you can subscribe to that channel if you would like to join me on that journey. I'm really excited about it and just excited to see what God is going to do. I really want to share a lot of the information that I'm learning because this is a lot of stuff that I wish I would have known at a younger age. I wish I would have known a lot of the stuff that I know now. And the best thing that I can do is to share it so that someone who is younger can have access to this knowledge and hopefully don't have to experience some of the things that I went through. And I hope that it's a channel where we can learn from each other too. People can share some of their things that they do that help them. And so I really would like if you subscribed. So I really hope that it's helpful. It's a little different for me because it's like, you already have a YouTube channel, so this should be easy. Y'all, it took me so long just to record 3 videos. Usually I record them bang, 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 bang. But that has not been the case. I think it's just because it's new, because now I'm actually like sharing information. And it's just it's a little different. So there's that. So subscribe, join the family, and yeah, let's be healed and whole together. It has been officially, I had my surgery in December, almost 3 months since I've had my surgery, and wow, it's been a journey. And it's been a journey for a number of reasons. Thank God I'm recovering well. My incisions are healed. They're still a little tender, like at touch. Like if I touch, I'm like, whoa, don't do that. And a lot of people were saying that when I was like watching videos. They were just like, yeah, at least like 6 months, like just like be easy on that. It seems to be healing well. I really just been taking the time to just kind of reevaluate my life. It sounds so dramatic, but I think one of the things that I realized after having surgery, after realizing that I had fibroids, was that I wasn't taking care of myself like I should have been at all. I was really just reflecting and kind of just like, why did you get to a point where you had a headache for 2 months and never went to the doctor? Like what is it that you were doing that you didn't allow yourself time to seek the help that you should have gotten a lot sooner? I don't know. I just feel like I was pushing myself beyond my limits in ways that weren't healthy. So, after having surgery, I just had to reevaluate my life. Like, I just had to be like, okay, Danisa, you need to be real. Like, we can't ever get to that point again. And so we have to reassess some things. And so, what that looks like, as you know, I'm a pharmacist and I was working 2 jobs. So, I just had to just sit and just be like, you working 65, sometimes more than that, hours a week is not normal, nor is it okay. And one of the things that I realized with fibroid growth is that stress could be one of the things that drives it. And being in stressful environments, sometimes you don't realize that you're like really stressed out until your body is yelling at you like, hey, you need to calm down. So I really just been trying to focus on having more balance and not exerting myself past my limits. And so I really just been trying to just cut back a little bit in that aspect, but also still maintaining balance. Like, I'm not saying that work has like pushed me over the edge and that's why I have fibroids. No, I'm not saying that whatsoever. I do definitely enjoy my jobs. I'm grateful for my jobs and I'm thankful. But I just realized that I was just pushing myself more than I should have for reasons that weren't 100% correct. I also have started therapy, which I was a little hesitant to do, mainly because I feel like I had therapy before and it wasn't that helpful, I felt like, or maybe I just didn't do it long enough. I don't know. But I personally, like, I don't know, I feel like I didn't really connect with her as much. So I kind of just was turned off to the idea of therapy. And so I was just like, okay, I also recognize that I don't deal with stress properly. I just don't want to put my body in a state where it allows room for these fibroids to grow, like all these things. And as much as like I'm changing my diet, I'm changing on all these things, and God is the greatest physician of all time. He is a healer, he's my keeper. I also have to realize that I need to also take care of the body that he has entrusted me to have. And not just with the food I eat, but mentally and spiritually as well. So that's why I started therapy. So I have a therapist. I actually have two on accident, but I have a therapist who has really been helping me to navigate, to identify and how to process the stresses that I experience in my life. And then I also have a Christian therapist who I haven't have a lot of sessions with her yet, but she's been helping me to really just root things back into the word. Like as soon as we start the call, hey, start us off in prayer. Like, so really just making sure that how I'm processing, how I am, really focusing on my mental and spiritual health is also rooted in the word. And it's been great. Honestly, um therapy has been really, really helpful in the sense of like, a lot of the stress that I feel like I was experiencing before was because I just didn't know how to speak up for myself. Like I didn't know how to say like, hey, like this actually bothers me. Like, I always thought that speaking up meant that it had to be confrontational, but it actually doesn't. It actually doesn't. Speaking up for yourself can actually be a very simple conversation that is had, but I'm learning and understanding that when you don't speak up properly, I'm not saying be disrespectful out here or be like, and no, just sharing how you feel, sharing how someone made you feel is also helping the other people and the people in your life or the people that you encounter on a daily basis know how to treat you. If someone is saying something or doing something that is really bothering you, you don't say it, they're going to continue to do it because you never said anything. So it's like speaking up also helps tell people how they need to treat you. And that has been huge for me because I am a very keep my head down, do what I gotta do, shut up, keep it pushing type of person. And I think that that may work for some time, but it's not sustainable. It gets to a point where you're kind of just like, you have so much built up resentment, you have so much built up, anger and all this stuff. Like it's just not okay. So therapy has definitely been super helpful in that aspect. And I'm very thankful. I'm so thankful because there's a lot of things that I'm learning about myself and just like reassessing how I'm showing up in my life, how I was. Before I was that go hard, go, 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 go until you get to a point where you're just like pushing past things that you actually should be addressing and taking a moment to be like, wait, this is a little too much. But you constantly show up that way because you feel like if you don't show up that way anymore, you're gonna hurt people's feelings, that you're gonna, you know, just ruin everything. Like it's so crazy how our minds work sometimes, where we think that if we are going a mile a minute, that it is going to impress others, and it's just like we are not doing anyone a favor by doing that, and we are not doing ourselves a favor by doing that. And so, I've really just been trying to take the time to just pray and seek God and really just like seek Him. It's just like He created my body, right? He created me. So He knows me better than anyone, right? And so He knows how I should be functioning. He knows what I should be doing. And so I really just been trying to lean into Him to like show me like, okay, hey God, how do I need to show up? What do I need to be doing? Clearly, if I try to do it on my own, I'm going to run myself into the ground. I'm going to stress myself out. So help me and show me. Like, I realized that I was at a point when I was kind of just on autopilot. I do the things that make people happy and I keep it pushing. And I don't believe that God created our bodies or created us to be running on autopilot. That's when you see the stress. That's when you see the anxiety. That's when you see all the things. Like the Bible says to be anxious for nothing. The Bible says fear not. I'm pretty sure it says fear not 365 times, meaning that every single day we need to rely on God. And the second that we think that we can do it on our own, the second that we think that we don't need Him to function, is when we start to experience the anxiety, the stress. That's just where I've been, of just like going back at the feet of Jesus. I've been talking to my friend about this for some time now, for like a few months or so, of really just like understanding and leaning on God. Because sometimes you can do life so well. You can just do it on autopilot. It's like you're doing the same things over and over and over and over and over, that sometimes you forget to lean on God. You forget that He is sovereign. You forget that He's your Lord and Savior. You forget that He's the one that created you. So He's the one that has to guide you. Because if you try to guide yourself, it's going to be a hot mess. It's going to be a hot mess. So yeah, it's just been a lot. There's been a lot of self-reflection, and I feel like character development too. Yeah, just really just going back to the feet of Jesus. We should always be there. But when you go on autopilot, sometimes you think that you don't need to, but you absolutely do. You absolutely do. And I just remember getting to a point where I was just like so upset. And I just remember saying to myself, like, God, I just need a hug. And when I tell you, that was very strange coming from me, considering that I am, not that I'm not a hugger or I'm not like an affectionate person, but that's just something that I would never say. Like, oh, can I get a hug? Like, I need a, like, that's something I would never say. But as I was thinking, I was like, why did I say that? I instantly remembered a moment where my nephew was crying his eyes out, snot nose, like he was so upset. And I remember all he could say in that moment was, Daddy, can I have a hug? And this was just so emotional for me, because when my nephew was so upset, literally all he knew was, if I could be in the embrace of my father, then everything's going to be okay. That was his first instinct. And he was like 3 at the time when this happened. And sometimes we forget, like, at the end of the day, like, we are God's children. God just wants me as His daughter to just run into His arms without needing to have it all together. And that's where I'm at right now. Just trying to be at the feet of Jesus and trying to navigate how I need to show up that's kinder on my body, And that doesn't allow me to rely on self, but to rely on God. Because when you're in autopilot mode for too long, that can get pretty dangerous, right? And so God didn't design us to do that, to live life like that. So that's where I'm at. It's been a journey. It's been a journey because, you know, you think to yourself like, oh, after you have surgery, like your body's healed, you're good, you just keep it pushing. But I didn't realize how much pressure I was putting on myself to just go back into the motions. And when you try to do that without reevaluating that, going into the motions ultimately caused you falling into what happened. You're like, okay, we don't want to end up like that again. So you really just have to take a step back and be like, okay, now that I know what I know, how do I show up in a way that doesn't allow me to get into autopilot mode? Like, how do I show up in full surrender to God? And that's hard because you have your moments where you do it and then you fall right back into autopilot. And I'm like, okay, God, how do I show up? How do I, just live this life without constantly going back into autopilot mode, like that cycle. I'm like, no, I want that cycle to end, and just be fully surrendered to Him. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm trying to understand. And I can literally only do it with Jesus. Like I realize that it's only God that can help me and figure that out and understand what that looks like. And just like praying and seeking Him, because it's been a journey. It's been a journey. One of the things that I said earlier this year is like, God, please don't let me lose hope. And I just remember, even when I said that, I just knew that also, like, my spirit was not, I wasn't taking care of myself wholly. Like I was focusing on the physical, but not the mental, the spiritual. And I realized, like, I need to go back at the feet of Jesus. Like I need to go back and, even in this time, I truly just thank God because, as much as like He wants us in His embrace, He will give us the hug, He will give us the warmth and the love that we need, but He also will show us things about ourselves, about our character, about our heart, exposing certain things that you're like, He's like, you need to work on this. And therapy has definitely been helpful with that too, where it's just like, oh, you need to work on this. And it's like, here I thought I was perfect. I know I'm not perfect, but yeah, so it's like it's been a journey of God exposing certain things in my heart that need to be addressed. And yeah. So that's that. That's the update. Yeah, so that's that. You already know the deal. You can comment below or you can email me at behismasterpiece@gmail.com. Go out, be kind, be caring, be loving, and as always, be His masterpiece. Bye.